time for early season walleyes on the Menominee River. 9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. If you're a fisherman, you've spent the last several months fishing through the ice, and it's that time of year when you're dying to get out on the open water. If you're a walleye fisherman, one of the first places to do that is on the boundary waters of the Menominee River. Walleyes move into the river, waiting for the water to warm up to spawning temperature, and we were there to find out if they'd arrived.
The same old, the old jig and minnow. Through the lips, stinger hook, water's cold. Today's first day out in the boat, water's cold, water's about 34 degrees. I like to use live bait to start, stinger hook, just seems to work a little bit better. That's what you want, that looks beautiful. It can't look much better. The only way it looks better, when there's a walleye hanging off the end of it. First one vertical jigging this year. Oh, nice fish too. Stinger hook, look at that. Good job, Mr. Corch. Oh, that feels good. This is why, and I said this on this show so many times, that stinger hook is so important. That water's cold, very soft, very slow bite, and you can see the jig is hanging out of his mouth, and that stinger hook's in there. So, number 1. With another Mexican. Hey Joe, are you having fun?
I'm having a little bit of fun.
A little bit of fun?
A little bit of a lot of fun.
Fishing in the spring.
Oh, is it ever nice? It's spring. Spring is sprung, the walleyes are snapping, and I am happy. Back in the drink. I'm feeling.
Now when we get a little closer to the spawn, then I'll start using minnow type plastics. These lure lipstick are really good baits. Twister tails. I don't have a twister tail on here today, but as the water warms up, bite gets a little better, you can get them just with twister tails or plastics. When we get a little warmer here, and the big females really start running in, I'll start pulling 3-ways. And again, I got lure lipstick. This stuff sticks on your baits. It's like kind of like waxy, so you rub it on your bait. A lot of the scents you spray on and it comes off right away, where this stuff really sticks on good. It really does a good job, so it really helps catch the fish, and I swear by that stuff. It's good stuff. And then as we get on and the spawn is done, then I'll go to flatlining and we'll go up in the shallows there. All those post-spawn walleyes all sit on a big hump here, and that can be fantastic too. We can have 40, 50, 60 fish at nights doing that, and that's a lot of fun. All hands on is what I am. I like that strike or that bite. That's what I like. I don't care for pulling planer boards. I ain't gonna say I don't do it, but I like hands-on stuff. That's the way to do it. And everybody agrees with me too. Wants to get out here and do it. That strike and that bite. That's just the way to do it.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works, home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom. I started hunting when I was just a kid, sitting on a stump next to my dad. When I was 14, he bought me this rifle. So it's not just a gun, it's special. Sometime after he passed away, I had this knife custom made. The leather in the handle is from a belt he wore for years. So it's not just a knife.
Well, being that it's spring and the water's really cold, these fish are coming in, they're real low on the bottom. I'm not marking a whole lot of fish on my fish finder, but obviously there's a lot of fish down there. So how I'm jigging today, we found out right away that it's just a little bit of a lift, drop it down. Little bit of a lift, drop it down. When the water warms up, then you want to pull it up high like this, but otherwise you want to just kind of touch the bottom, lift it up a little bit. Touch the bottom, lift it up. And you could tell right away when there's a fish on there. Oh, look at this fish. We're still waiting for that real big one though, but hey, we'll take these all day long. Woo! I can catch these all day long and never get tired of it. That's a female. That's the first female of the day. Today is April 9th. We are way behind this year. Usually we're out here catching walleyes. Usually they're getting pretty close to spawning right now, but winter just did not want to let go this year. So we're doing the jig. The water's really cold. It's about 34 degrees. But I see on the graph there's quite a few fish down here, and we're picking up a few males. I'm sure before the day is over, we're gonna get some big ones here. We need to get a little bit farther downriver where the fish like to pile before they slide up the river. There we go, fish on. It sure is nice just to be out here catching fish again, I'm telling you. Here we go, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. All right, this is why we're here. We'll take her. We're gonna put that one back. That's another female. And you see, while they're getting ready to do their spawning run here, they spawn about 44 degree water temperature. You notice that that's hooked on that stinger hook again. That's a very, very light bite. That's why I like these stingers when that water's cold. And these girls like this, these ones you want to put back because that makes more walleyes for us. But this is why we're out here. We're gonna get some bigger ones yet today too. Said first time on the river this year. I gave Brian a call last night and said, hey, it's time. And of course he's like, I'll be there.
Well, we did prove that the walleyes indeed were in the river, and we caught enough to satisfy the first time on the water fish on the end of a line craving. But there had to be more. If we caught this many right here, there had to be a lot more further downstream, closer to the mouth. But unfortunately, between us and that spot was a couple 100 yards of frozen river. Now, did you ever notice how the spot you want to cast to is always just a little further than your feasible casting distance? Or the spot you want to fish always seems to be on the other side of the river. I'm not sure if it was that, or if the fish were really stacked up out there. But there wasn't much question. We were going to find out.
Crunch. Watch your jig, Jody. He's stuck in there. Side to him. That big piece right there, I want to take a break off. I'm blaming Larry for this. Ooh, this is a good fish here. Oh, this is a good fish. Woohoo! Baby! This hooked right there. And they are snapping today. I'm a happy man. Happy, happy, happy. Go make us some babies, girl. Who wants to go? Come up, pick up, pick up. Okay, watch my phone, watch my phone. Yep. Get this one back, get some more. Oh, that's a nice fish, bro. See where it's up, Joe.
Oh, there, there's a big fish. There's a real big fish. Imagine that. Oh, that's not problem. Yeah, I do. Oh, I thought about it. Pretty darn lucky to be the first guys out here.
Mr. Cart, we're ice fishing. You know you're catching lots of fish when you just do the old flip.
Ice fish in here.
It's spring finally.
Notice Lance had a Vrabel too. It's loaded. too much fun. Little male. I think that's like number 10. That was cool. That one hit it. I'm sure he ate it good because he got the whole thing down. Yeah. Couple hours today. This is like our 16th or 17th fish. It should just get better from here. The water's gonna warm up, more fish gonna pile in the river. Hey, spring is here. It's fishing time.
Today's Wild Game Break is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Find out more at cookingwildseasonings.com. I spent a windy, choppy day on Lake Gogebic with pro fisherman Mark Martin and got some tips on early season walleyes.
Look for mud lines when you're out fishing. You know, make sure you're trying to find, look for things that are a little different. You know, the mud lines, I fish them out west on reservoirs, and I fish them in certain rivers. And geez, here at Lake Gogebic, we've seen a mud line. We started fishing it. We caught fish on this mud line here too. So if you see it muddying up, and get out there and fish just inside the mud line or right up on shore where it's creating that mud line. Very good little tips for early season where the fish will be concentrated. Shallow water is going to be some of the places that you're going to want to check out. Deep water, they're going to go to deep water after they get done spawning. They're going to suspend. We caught some fish suspended today, but for the most part, most of them are going to be shallow. Either they're going to spawn or have spawned. The males are going to stick around. The females are going to drop deep, but it's going to take them about another week or so before they are recuperated enough that they're going to be snapping.
906 Outdoors is brought to you by Race Driven, your source for premier power sports products. Customer driven, quality driven, race driven.
Get in touch with your adventurous side and find your drive with Race Driven. As an online retailer, dealership, and manufacturer, we can provide power sport enthusiasts with virtually any part or accessories for ATV, UTV, and motorcycles. Providing a variety of services including manufacturing, prototyping, and powder coating, Race Driven gets it all done right in Escanaba. Our highly experienced team will find you the best products to maximize your performance and keep you safe. Customer driven, quality driven, race driven.
There are a number of lakes across the UP which the Department of Natural Resources has dubbed trophy brook trout lakes.
They're glacial lakes, glacial till kettle lakes, and where an iceberg has gotten flooded with sand, and then the iceberg has obviously melted, and you end up with a kettle lake or a pothole lake, we'll call them. And they produce characteristics. There's groundwater and there's cold water environments, and it's perfect for trout. But the problem is the trout don't have a spot for natural reproduction. Oftentimes there's no inlet or no outlet, and if there is a inlet, it enters into a sandy stream, and the fish, brook trout, do not have a place to naturally reproduce. Biologists have identified these pothole lakes, kettle lakes, and identified them as suitable habitat for brook trout. And our primary goal in the brook trout program is to stock these lakes and create a brook trout fishery.
The words trophy and brook trout in the same sentence provide all the incentive I need to give it a try. My son Jason and I packed up a backpack, loaded the canoe in the truck, and headed out for an afternoon on one of the UP's off-the-beaten-path lakes. The particular lake we chose was about a mile hike in through the scenic UP wilderness on an obvious and easy-to-walk trail. And if you haven't already noticed, yes, the mosquitoes were bad.
glacial lakes, and they're scattered north of Newberry, south of Munising, north of Marquette here, and south of Republic area, and all the way down to Iron County and Crystal Falls area. And we either stock them as spring fingerlings, fall fingerlings, or yearling fish. And the smaller body of the waters, oftentimes we can get by with stocking spring fingerling fish. These spring fingerling fish, there's no competition, so they survive, and they're put in March through May, and then they grow up to be 7 to 10 inches long in about 2 years. Our fall fingerling lakes are a little bit larger usually. There's a little bit more competition from year classes involved in there. And we can put a 6 and a 7 inch fish in the fall time in October, and then midsummer it'll be 10 inches legal size. Our yearling lakes are, they usually got a little bit of competition from other species of fish, or they're stocked in greater numbers than when we stock yearling fish. And they will be put in as 8 inch fish in the springtime, and again midsummer they'll be about 10 inches long. The second year they'll definitely be legal size. What we're aiming for is a carryover. They'll make it through the first year, half of them will be legal. Second year, all of them will be legal, and oftentimes the third and fourth year they'll be catching those nice big 15 to 24 inch fish that have been reported in many of our lakes.
Kind of the middle of June, so they moved on a little deeper, we're thinking, and just dragging a jig head behind with a twister tail on it, and bingo.
We have excellent success recently through this health testing. The fishermen are reporting some excellent catches on these lakes. Springtime is about the best fishing time, and then as the summer warms up, there's a thermocline, a warmer water thermocline that develops on the surface of the water, and the cold water trout will seek that cold water deep in the midsummer and spend its summer in the deeper, below 15 feet of water. So oftentimes it's more difficult to catch these fish in these trout lakes. But there is fish in most of them, all of them. In order to be stocked year after year, they have to prove that there's a fishery developed and the people are fishing them. So they are adjudicated, and for restocking each every so many years. They have to go in and prove that there is a fishery developed out of that stocking those fish. And they can do that by creel surveys. Angler reports are very important in those small bodies of water. So if you catch fish out of these small bodies and you want to continue to see these fish being stocked in these small bodies of water, please report catches. And that is all considered information to renew that prescription into the body of water. And it's very helpful. Oftentimes these small lakes are very expensive to stock, but also very expensive to manage, because you're doing a lot of paperwork and you're doing a lot of field work just to stock 700 to 800 fish per lake. Where in the Great Lakes you're doing that same assessment and you're stocking hundreds of thousands of fish at one time. But they do provide a unique type of fishery, something that we need in the Upper Peninsula and fishermen seek out, and it's one of the great things in the Upper Peninsula.
906 Outdoors is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Good. Better. Best. Try our new Cooking Wild Seasonings breakfast sausage seasoning, or maple breakfast sausage seasoning made with pure UP maple sugar. There are a considerable number of these trophy brook trout lakes scattered across various parts of the Upper Peninsula. Many of these lakes are walk-in only and are managed with strict regulations, like no live bait, artificial lures only, a 15-inch minimum length limit, and a one-fish creel limit. All of these special regulations are designed to help preserve the overall quality of the fishery. We didn't catch a lot of fish on our adventure, but an adventure it was. The trek in, the fishing, just paddling around a remote UP lake is an experience in itself. And we topped off our day with dinner. There's just nothing like sitting on the banks of a remote UP lake and cooking, well, here, super fire starter. Plans were for some brook trout in the pan. You don't have brook trout? Pasties. Sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate. Sometimes the fish don't cooperate. And sometimes it really doesn't matter. Take the time to explore some of the UP's less known treasures. Take the time to sit on a canoe and eat a pasty.